Well, here we are. Me and the Foxy Lady. We are about to take a look at Mech Suit Princess, a pilot written by our very own Caleb Jackson.
What's its username?
Cyber Jackalope.
Ah.
Mech Suit Princess. Alright, so let's go through the first few pages. I'm going to take care of that little crap. Alright. Fade in. Princess Arona's bedroom. Day, a book with the key in the cover titled Lab of Dr. Crankshaft rests on a desk. A mechanical arm opens it from off-screen, revealing an illustration of a shadowy figure with the thought bubble of an egg-shaped robot. Princess Irona, 18, sings an early memory.
Melody.
Melody. Revealing an illustration of a shadowy figure with a bubble, egg-shaped robot. Crack a few eggs. Once upon a time, a very brilliant mind, some would say the greatest mind of all, dreamed a middle man would do what no one can. Thus began the story of his fall. The mechanical arm turns a page. Uh-oh, wait a second. Did I turn my channel? Oh, good, I'm storing it. Sweet. Alright. The mechanical arm turns a page to the illustration of a shadowy figure in front of the furnace surrounded by burning trees. He burned the forest down and dug into the ground, caring not for all the life he... So the song, like, opening on a song I've seen work. I'm trying to think of other stories that have done this, like, fairy tale opening, but it usually... The more common trope, and you're already breaking one of the tropes by having a mechanical arm turn the page, which I like, but they usually kind of go for a fairy tale narration. I haven't seen too many too many storybooks that, like, have a song. So, like,
Doctor Who does
song
this a lot.
versus
Or
narration.
Buffy.
I wonder if this... And I don't really know if this is the best choice for a strong hook. Because the one downside of a song is it's a little bit tougher to get the meaning of what's going on and the context. Because there's music, there's whatever, so at least from my experience watching musicals, it sometimes is a little bit trickier in terms of really connecting with the plot, and especially in summary, because pretty much this is going to be summary. So I think the one risk, and I don't honestly know the answer, I do not write that many songs in my stories, but I would be concerned that the one risk of delivering exposition over song is that it will lack some of the clarity and concision that is necessary for usually successful exposition. Because usually you want your exposition to be really clear and really concise and just get it done. So whenever you have something in a song, there's going to be stuff that's changed to rhyme. There's going to be all sorts of different mechanics you're going to be using, which may obfuscate that a little bit. Food for thought. He burned the forest down and dug into the ground, caring not for the life he... The rips the page off, revealing an illustration of a shadowy figure cowering before a large fairy and her army of dark beasts. Not yet, you! Grrr. Forest spirit came and saw a rising flame. She, mechanical art, throws the books and shatters her mirror. Cut to Ilona wearing a nightgown, violently shaking her arm. Stupid robot, I don't want you to just do what I... She takes a breath and gently sets the arm down. It's okay, I'm gonna get this right. So is it her arm?
Yeah.
Or is it a arm? Is she, like, holding... Is it actually her mechanical arm that's attached to her body that's rebelling? Or is it an arm? So I need some clarity around... need some more clarity around the frame. Scene that is reading the story. Might need a... Montage. The dress machine ties her towel gown, but tangles the laces and tears the seams. Crack a few eggs. Getting those problems pegged. A bush machine swings a comb, left and right, frizzing up her hair. Gotta keep up that head and crack a few eggs. Pouring your blood and sweat and giving it all you get. Making an omelet, you'll crack a few eggs.
What does it have to do with this story?
I think it's like, what I'm gathering to be the intention is, you know, this person's an inventor, they're trying to make an omelet, so in order to do that, they're having to make sacrifices. But I'm not really seeing sacrifices besides the arm kind of rebelling against her a little bit, or like her machine's going haywire. But there's not like, cracking an egg in my reasoning is like, you have to like actually make a sacrifice. Like, this seems to be just more setbacks in a steady progress towards something. Mm-hmm. That may be a little bit of semantics, though. But I do feel like the content of the song, and that's like the risk, the content of the song and the content of the scene are starting to work at odds with each other, because you're trying to get this repetition around crack a few eggs to make an omelet. But I feel like and that's why I think a safe bet is usually, and what you see a lot, even in stuff like Shrek, where there are songs in Shrek, I think. Mm-hmm. But you'll normally see that they pretty directly have that narrative, the part where they're giving you all the little story, be like, once upon a time there was Princess Fiona, mm-hmm. you know, and she fell in love with a monster named Shrek, and they'll have like more of a reading voice. But I think more is just the song and the theme of crack a few eggs feels like it's not 100% lining up with the content of the story. Yeah, and that's like a challenge of a lot of writers encounter, especially writers who pretty heavily rely on stylistic stuff. I'm just going to give it this. Let me just drag this side, please. But like a lot of fiction writers who do lots of stylistic stuff, who do lots of description, who do all these fancy bells and whistles, very often will run the risk of kind of losing their audience a little bit, or having the techniques they're trying to use in prose start to work against the actual content of the story. And that's something to be very aware of. Is like, you can use a lot of these mechanics and devices, but they all have to be in service of the plot, i.e. the content of the story. And this is where it's beginning to feel not very different. Like, it's not like, oh, this is a totally different thing, but it's just off enough to give us a little bit of pause. You want to keep reading while I check on the cider? We're making hot cider.
Let's see. End montage. Animals swarm in, snatch the egg and frying pan. No, shoot! You're interrupting my calibrations. She swats the animals away. There's a knock at the door. Princess Erona, your father sent for you. Rona checks the mirror, but it's shattered. Oh, I'll be right there. She grabs the omletron, singing a sadder tune. My mothers made their wishes, and they'd only need to sing. Nature took its course and granted all their wildest dreams. I'm just gonna make up tunes. Comments?
No, it sounds good.
Cool. She exits to hallway, continuous. Sprints down the hallway, startling the guards with their frizzy hair, smeared makeup, ripped dress, and carrying the omletron. Suddenly I have a dream it doesn't seem to like. Maybe now it's nature's turn to take a hike.
She bursts through the doors, startling 2 kings, 2 queens, and Prince Adara, 18. She returns to the cutesy meddling wines of the omletron.
Crack a few eggs, now that we're out of bed, gonna get you guys fed, and crack a few eggs.
King Bron and Queen Fauna exchange nervous glances. King Flint and Queen Stricka seem more agitated. Adara is simply amused.
Now that we finally met, I'll get your palate sweat with a good omelet and crack a few. Omletron grabs the whole bowl of eggs, spins rapidly. Splat. Everyone is covered in splattered eggs.
Eggs? And looks it over. Queen Fauna wipes herself off. Braun, why don't you speak to your daughter? I'll take care of everything here. Okay, so I like this. It's very slapstick, very fun, punchy. But a lot of it is somewhat predictable. And that's something to consider. Is like this is playing very much to every beat I would expect, where we've seen the inventor that is struggling to come up with inventions, and they come up. Lo and behold, they get into a social setting, and so I never really believe it's going to be a success. And to some degree, that's okay, but she seems to think it's going to be a success. But nothing in her experience as a character can indicate that either, right? So, like, the character needs to at least have gotten it to a point where they think it's going to work. But I don't think it ever has worked once. Right? Because it doesn't work here. Mm-hmm. Precision, your father sent for you. Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's never worked once. The I struggle to believe that she thinks it's a good idea to show off a defective machine. Also, the broken machine bit is something we've seen, or struggling inventor, slash hapless inventor is something we've seen before. A lot. And I think the times you want to think about, so think about the movies that have turned that on its head. One really good example is The Nutty Professor or Flubber, the one where he makes the bouncy stuff. But in that case, his error, the one where he goes in front of all these people and it doesn't work, actually worked, but it just didn't work in the way they expected. So to some degree, they still forward the plot through that error. So they say, the professor that tried to make Flubber, the endless energy thing, but it actually comes to life and it dances and does all this crazy, goofy stuff, with Robin Williams.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. So look at a few of those things, because the thing that I would think about is it doesn't feel believable that Irona would think it's at all a good idea to show off a machine that she knows doesn't work. But I also, it seems like it's her own flawedness in judgment that has brought this situation about. Maybe there's someone who's maybe it is working and someone sabotages it. Or there's some sort of more complicated action besides just kind of a slapstick mistake. And maybe that is the tone you're going for, but I feel like the slapstick thing has been really heavily done in a lot of stuff I've read. So I do wonder if maybe it's worth it to consider saying, hey, maybe there's another angle I can approach this from. Army of birds and rodents pour into the room, begin to clean up the mess. King B1dnas escorts her to the hall, but not before she hears the neighboring king and queen.
You can be the guy.
Some alliance this is turning out to be.
A suitable wife indeed. Just as the door closes, Adara smirks. Who's Adara?
That's the inventor.
No, it's Irona.
Oh, that's right. Adara? Who was Adara? There you go. Two queens and Prince Adara. It's the prince.
Oh, that's right.
Maybe he likes her anyways.
Probably. Ron enters, sees the mess. He sighs and sits on her bed.
Irona, we both know the mechanics are commonly viewed as unladylike.
Those animals just had to interrupt my calibrations.
We got you these tools anyway because we love you.
Tighten that spring lock.
Braun takes a screwdriver. Now I'm confiscating them. He grabs her toolbox and packs everything he can find.
You can't do that. I'm just about to make something that works.
She sneaks a wrench under the mattress. You'll get them back after the wedding.
That's That's a month away. I'll lose my mind by then.
Erona, please. The survival of the kingdom rides on this alliance. Just 1 month. That's all I ask. He exits. She looks around the room, pulls her hair, and yells. She begins cleaning up. Upon pasting down the book, she stops, corner of the front, paste down. I'm just watching it. I can't turn too easily because I twisted my neck around. We are making hot cider. Quite good. Oh, Rokai. More shenanigans.
Oh, nice. That's
Well,
fine.
let me know if we need to let you do your
he's
thing.
just like, oh, I'm filling out applications for residency. I'm like, I don't have anything to put in for Rokai. Like, what are you doing? And I was like, you can have it if you have ideas.
Feel free.
Yeah, so he's like, okay, I'll think about it.
Radio, theater, and stereo. Briar Cub, how's it going? Hello, hello, and welcome.
Greetings.
We are doing a live edit of Caleb Jackson's Mech Suit Princess.
Cyber Jackalope.
And then, or Cyber Jackalope. And then we will be moving on to some other fun stories. So, I like the father-daughter drama and the timeline. I wonder, and this is going to be probably a funny suggestion, is what if you just open on the failed project and let us imagine? So think about Infinity War, where they opened at the end of this battle and there were all these mutilated whatever. Maybe something similar, where you see the princess and her like screwdriver and a smoking machine, and like the kings and queens' faces are all covered in soot. And then, like, her dad comes up and is just, like, lifts her up and it says, "Let's go to your room, darling." And then this scene happens. That would save you a lot of time. So Fox disagrees.
I would be very confused
Okay.
if it opened with a spinning machine and smoke and nothing else. I'd be like, what?
Yeah.
I think you could streamline it a little bit, but I wouldn't just open on a...
Yeah, maybe that's it then. Because I do think something is, like, the whole machine setup and, like,
It just needs a little bit more, like, narration, I think. And a little bit less. Just get to the scene where the egg explodes faster.
Yeah, and I think the sooner we get to this father-daughter scene, because that's like the first time we actually care, right? Because we're seeing, for the first time in the story, an emotional connection. Not just someone singing me what's going on, not just someone
Showing off their
invention. We're seeing, like, a dad trying to just keep things together. So we actually end up sympathizing a lot more with Braun than we do Erona, even coming out of the scene, which is okay. That I don't think is something you necessarily need to change or worry about. But just know that, like, we're going to start to gravitate towards these two characters and their relationship. Because you've given us something here that's really critical, which is a broken relationship. And I think that's the reason the story, I think, from my point of view, starts to take on a little bit more depth and layering when it gets here. Because we see a broken relationship. We see a father that cares for his daughter, but he doesn't know how to care for her in the way that she wants. So he's struggling to try to, like, accommodate her, but he's unable to, and it's caused hurt in their relationship, which is something that I think is really interesting. So I think if you can bring that particular aspect out more, what is the problem? So between Erona and every character, between your protagonist and every character, there should be a relational problem, some sort of hurt and some sort of emotional issue that's going on. This is a really great example between her and her dad, what's going on. And then if you can start to extrapolate that to other characters, it just starts to deepen the story even more. So, food for thought. Upon picking up the book, she stops. A corner of the front paste down has come loose. She flips it, and there seems to be something drawn on the other side. Curious, she grabs a shard of glass and cuts around the whole paste down. She's in her lab. Why does she need a shard of glass? Doesn't she have tools in her lab? And where did she get the shard of glass?
Where'd she get the book? What book is this?
The book. The book. There's a the book. Probably up here, right?
It says there's a mess.
Yeah. Remember, you gotta still have as much, even in a screenplay, you gotta have as much scene evoked as you do in a novel. You have to have as clear of a concrete understanding of the scene. I think this was something that happened a few times in Tips, in Tip of Oz, where we would sometimes lose our footing in the scene. Hide the relationship at the earliest opportunity. I think that's true.
Yeah.
I think that's true, Buttercup. That's a very good observation. But yeah, we do also just need a little bit. Is it boiling over? Can you just look? No, it's good. It's probably just getting to a boiling boil. We need a little bit more scene here.
You could just even say at the beginning, like, there's books strewn on the floor and things smoking, and then, like, instead of picking up the book, upon picking up one of the books, she begins picking up books, and one of them, blah, blah, blah.
And I think this is the first time. Is this the first time we're in her bedroom?
I think she's there at the beginning, but we don't really
know.
Yeah,
a book with a key on the cover, title of the okay. So maybe it's this book, Dr. Crankshaft.
That's when she was reading. So
yeah.
How didn't she notice this before?
Yeah, also true. So yeah, I think whenever, and that goes back to even the top one, is we have one line of description on her book, or one paragraph about her room, and maybe that's okay because this is your main character, and a character's personal space is a really, really powerful place to start communicating some things about who that character is. So this might be another opportunity to have, instead of one line, a paragraph, kind of what Fox was saying, where the book that she was reading from lies torn on the bed for where the mechanical arm ripped it off. Because it doesn't feel like it's continuous, because she's built, like, we had a montage which showed her building other inventions, so it feels kind of odd that the book would still be around in some way. So yeah, I would reestablish the scene a little bit more, but also use it as an opportunity to open it up and give us some more details about her room, concrete things that show us that this is a different princess than everyone we've seen before. So, like, maybe she has these, mechanized picture frames where, like, it's drilled metal, but then it's a picture of her, like, on a horse, riding a horse, and really miserable. Because, she doesn't like horses and ponies and stuff like that. She likes machines.
Yeah.
I think that's a great way. So you have to think of those show don't tell moments that you can do with props.
He's making cider.
That's good. Let that simmer for a little while.
Daughter of the sea.
Strong.
That's right.
Oh, sorry. Strong like bull. Okay. Just 1 month. That's all I ask. That's a pretty reasonable. So it also sounds like he's a pretty reasonable guy. And then it's going to make us a little bit angry at Ilona if she can't handle 1 month of not playing with her stuff. A map to the secret lab of Dr. Crankshaft?
Yeah, again, how did she not? Wasn't she reading this book earlier?
Yeah.
Seems pretty... So, like, what happened that made that come loose? Was it, like, sitting in a weird position? Did something knock it loose? Otherwise, it just has come loose. I don't know. Maybe just set that up a little more.
I'm picturing her with one of those cheesy, romantic, conical fairy tale princess hats with chiffon and a very nonplussed expression on her face in the photo. Yeah, exactly. And that's a lot of the fun stuff. And I think Caleb has done an awesome job in creating an ironic character, which is going to do so much of his work for him as he writes this story and starts to uncover this. We have a character who is ironic. It's a princess that loves. That's a steampunk princess. That's awesome. So I think one of those things is when you hit on a really great ironic premise like that, exploit it. Don't feel bad about, because that's unique. So like the failed experiment is something I've seen before, but what if it happened in a princess context? So we've seen someone go up and do a failed experiment, but what if she hates horseback, or she hates riding her pony, she doesn't like it, she always falls off, and maybe she's built some device to like keep her on the pony while she's about to like do some pony ride for the king and queen. That's a bad example,
I think that's kind of what he was trying to do. I think he just needs to
but it needs to be more specific, because that thing is just like her presenting something.
It's just like eggs, yeah.
But like, what if it's something that
maybe she's and I think you can even keep the egg thing if she's like, okay, I really want to impress them. Like, I know most princesses will like curtsy and give them like some whatever, like play music for them. I don't know how the eggs would work, but like I'm gonna make them breakfast and show that I'm a great like cook, and
or like she gets, because she's not paying attention, she gets banished to work in the kitchens and she tries to automate it, or or we see an exchanging of gifts. So like the prince is like, as my betrothed, I present you a golden flower petal, and it's like all fancy and it's beautiful, but it's totally not her style. And then she's like, oh, great, well, I made this for you, and then it just like explodes and just like everyone. So setting up, so there's maybe two things. So if you're going to use that situation you have earlier, set it up more, build it out around her irony.
Still good.
Yeah, okay. Build it out around that character's ironic twist. So really unpack and say, okay, what would be like the worst thing for a princess turned mechanic? Formal stuff, going to a ball, yuck. Like, I want to be playing with my stuff in my lab. I don't want to be going to a ball. So those types of situations, maybe they're really good places to... So a scene that's been seen a lot can transform if you even move it to just a new location or a new context. So I think those are the types of questions you want to start asking about your first 5 pages. Is, as they are right now, they work, but they are a little bit... I feel like they just don't exploit this awesome, ironic premise that you've built. They could take it to another level, and I would really think about asking yourself, what's another setting? What's another situational context? You can have the same plot beat, the same event happen, but try to twist that setting a little bit more. Try to get us a different setup around it, and that might help you a little bit. Key is a bit confusing as to how it suddenly pops up now versus earlier. Okay. Secret lab, okay, come in. Queen Fauna enters, followed by God with a new mirror. Would you like to be Queen Fauna, or you want to be Irona?
Queen Fauna.
I've seen to it that you don't have to entertain anybody until tomorrow. Please take care of yourself until then.
I will, thank you.
Fauna wipes some of Irona's smear and make away. Irona, your father and I love you very much. You realize that, don't you?
Yes. I love you too, Mom.
Fiona runs her hand through Irona's frizzy hair and kisses her forehead. Frizzy hair.
Yeah.
Irona gets up and walks to the mirror, then jumps.
Oh, God. They saw me like this?
So, that's a surprising and a non-setup thing, because I don't think she cares about how she looks. Because she just presented an omelet exploder to a person without checking it. That's not a meticulous thing to do. So these types of moments are going to start to work against each other, and that's all the more reason to really explore that irony. I would literally take an hour, or maybe even give yourself a 5-page limit, and just write down all the ironic princess steampunk princess things you can think of. Like, oh, what does she love? What is like her least favorite event? oh, well, she hates getting her makeup done because it jams up her arms' gears. You know, that's what you really, really, really have to push. And I think you have this great premise, but I feel like it's the first take. So like, it's sort of like you give that awesome premise to 10 people, and they'll come up with some similar gags. But you want the gags that only you can come up with because you know this premise better than anyone else. So I think you just need a little bit more time brainstorming. So like, yeah, because this character moment is reflecting the fact that like she doesn't feel like a person that would care about her stuff. So I think more and more unpacking and brainstorming around who this character is. I don't believe a girl. Yeah, she's not image conscious. She's not meticulous. This isn't her, at least from how I've read her so far. So we do want to make sure that, and that's part of exploring
that's easy to fix. Like I said, or what we were saying earlier,
Yeah.
if she's doing all of this because she does care how she looks, and she's just
totally lost. Like, you know, like she
Yeah.
could just be totally lost.
yeah,
Have
we just
no
need,
idea how to really.
she
act
could
like a
she
normal
could
person.
really, you know, there was no clarification that she really thought that those machines were working, and she cared
That is good.
that she thought that the machines were working, and that she cared that they did work, and was just rushing out the door and didn't have a chance to double check. Like, that would make more sense if she was like, okay, I have this new machine that does my makeup and hair. I know, like,
That would be great.
I'm convinced that they're gonna, like, it's gonna just, I'll speed through it. I'm running late, but I can, like, I'm gonna look great, and oh, I'll bring the omletron and I'll make them omelets. And then to just completely, you know, like, but still show that she does care. Like, oh, I want to look nice. Okay, I'll, whatever. You know, just have her be convinced that it did work, instead
Yeah.
of kind of just, like, the way she comes off now is just like, oh, you know, machine thing. Okay, so, wow, what happened to this? Oh, whoops, they saw me like this. It's like, oh.
And that
yeah.
could be a great chance, like Danielle's example, to have a save the cat moment, where maybe there's some handmaiden who she's like, Princess, I've been tasked to do 3 hours of makeup on you. But the princess is like, don't worry, like, you know, you get the day off. You get the day off. I just made this makeup-atron. It's gonna be great. And she's like, Princess, are you sure that the day of your betrothal is the right time to do this? No, just trust me, Cynthia.
It's gonna look great.
I just want you to have the day off. You've helped me so much. I wouldn't even be here without you. Have a great day. Take the day off. She smashes her face into the makeup-atron, and then
it's like,
and
oh,
then
crap,
someone
I'm
rushes her
running late.
out, and then
Yeah.
and then she can't check. So that's another
And then-
example, you know.
And then, like, the
Hey,
omelet
Taylor.
the omelet thing explodes, and then she's like, well, at least my other machines worked. And then there would be that moment of, oh god, none of it worked.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's so much opportunity, and I think that's why my note beneath all these notes is that I don't think you've explored the core irony of this character enough yet. I think you just need to unpack all the things she hates, all the things she loves. What is a girl who loves mechanics? She's trapped in this castle. What does that emotionally feel like?
Also, I feel like it would be okay if she isn't image conscious. Like, if she, like, looks in the mirror and just kind of shrugs and is like, oh well. Like, I think that would also, then you could keep the earlier part would still work. It just doesn't work right. Like, that line just is like, oh, that's not. But if she looks in the mirror and is just sort of like, and moves on with her day,
Yeah.
and then that's more believable with what we've read so far. So it's up to you.
So I think it's just, and
Just
that's
figuring it out.
so like as you get to know your character so well, and their core irony, and their hates and their loves so well, these inconsistencies will just dissolve, because you'll know that she either cares or she doesn't care, and you'll know that she'll be consistent throughout. And I think that's kind of what we're starting to hit on. There's a few little inconsistencies, along with just some general setup that feels a little bit that it could exploit the premise a little bit more. The bass have stopped. I don't know what the bass.
Baz, huh? Oh, I think we.
Oh, the
went down too
boss.
far.
Oh, I see. Oh, I bumped it too far. Okay. The clouds float to side to reveal a full moon. We hear a wolf howling. The howling stops, replaced by dozens of frantic sheep. Ah! As we pass down to the farm, a farmer exits with a lantern and crossbow.
Who goes there?
Ah!
Come now. Show yourself.
He steps, kneels to inspect it. It's wool. We hear a deep growling, everything red through the monster's POV. The farmer looks up, jumps back in chair. I think this feels tonally different. Having like the red, like, you know, like that feels like an Alien and Predator type. Like, it's the only time I see that like monster POV where like it's like night vision and you know, because that is a well used device. I wouldn't say cliche, but it's pretty close. But maybe this is kind of your like your way of reinventing that device and saying, "Hey, I'm going to put it in a fantasy world." That is Fox. This is the Foxy lady.
Hello.
I made more coffee. Yes.
Coffee. Nice coffee. Wonderful.
It's tasty. So this is just something to think about, I would say, is this moment I think can work, but I feel like most of the gags have been in the content and not the frame in this screenplay. And most of the way you're subverting your genre, right? So you're in a fairy tale genre, and through your content...
I thank you, sir.
Aptly named. Indeed. But you're in a fairy tale genre, and you're subverting the content by having a steampunk princess. But the way we're experiencing it, the film, the structure has been very true to the fairy tale genre. We've had songs, we've had storybooks opening. So this feels like something from another genre that has not been set up.
I don't know, though.
Okay, she disagrees.
I can almost... I mean, because it's a little bit like Little Red Riding Hood or something like that.
Yeah.
Seeing things from the monster's perspective. I don't know about the red necessarily. I don't know if you need the monster perspective. But I don't think it's... Yeah, the red might be a little much. The deep growling, like, I'm assuming it's like a wolf or something.
Because you've been playing so far your frame, the way that you're describing the action, the mechanics and devices you're using to tell the story have been very consistent with the fairy tale genre. And this is the first time it's broken, and it's a little bit late. You should... Because you had a montage... I mean, you've had like a lot of the fairy tale-esque things. So just maybe the montage, you could say, depending on how that plays out, is different, but it's just a little on the fence to the fairy tale frame.
I don't know if you need the red POV. Yeah, I
That
would say
using.
if they just see the shadow of a wolf or something, whatever it is, in you know some red, I mean, even like red eyes looking at them, that would fit better. You know, you see a pair of red eyes peeking through the brush. The farmer looks up, jumps in terror.
All right, Foxy.
Ooh.
Do you want yours with whiskey?
Yes.
Do you want corn whiskey or rye whiskey or your bourbon?
What did we do last time?
I just did some bullet.
I'll do bullet.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Want it out?
I'm going to let it cool for just... This is real
Cool.
hot. So that whiskey will evaporate. I might not do whiskey because I'm going to still do work.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Alright. So let that cool just a minute. Or two. Oh, that looks wonderful. Gosh dang it, I'm good. So I make the most amazing cider in North America, just so you all know.
It's true. It is really good.
Making hot apple cider. Hot whiskey cider.
Yep.
So I'm pretty excited. I'm going to do the non-alcoholic version. She's going to do the very alcoholic version.
This is my last day, or my last week of
Vacations.
freedom.
All right. Irona dons travel boots, but loses balance and fall. Okay, so the farmer dies. She tries to hook the omletron to her belt, but drops it on her foot. Ah! She shakes the map over. So I do wonder why she's bringing the omletron with her on a adventure.
I'm in pharmacy school. On rotations. I'm on an off period. So basically like clinical rotations. So freedom from that. Yeah, why would she want the omletron with her?
Yeah, I was like, it's a dangerous journey. They're not making eggs. I think you're playing up, and this happens, and to a few writers who I've read, who love these genre-defying, punchy kind of screenplays. There's a lot of times it's just like the zaniness, the
Like
zaniness.
Cinder. It reminds me of Cinder.
Yeah, this reminds me of Cinder, but like the zaniness of this story is like you're bringing in a lot of like, she's got her omletron, she's got her lasers, she's like woohoo, crazy. So that works, but it will definitely be more challenging if you have that zany tone to build relatability with your character. But you also still need to be consistent with it. So think about Bill and Ted. Their excellent adventure. Hey, did you get TMO fiction? We can chat about it later if you want, but obviously there's something out there.
Actually, this author is
This author is Cyber Jackalope. Did you get TMO fiction? I don't know what TMO fiction is.
That's that book. The Magic.
Oh, I did the Magic of Fiction. I did. Yes. Oh, I still talk to. Yeah, I didn't know they had that cool. I have the Magic of Fiction. It's back there, but it's hard for me to turn around because I twisted my neck.
He hurt his neck.
Yeah, so I'm somewhat immobilized today. But it's back there, that direction.
I can grab it.
It's good. I've been reading it so far. It's been really nice. It's very like comprehensive, so it's nice. Oh, ouch! Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Old age is no respecter of final bosses. But I feel like Bill and Ted, even though they were dopey and it was a silly world, they operate with truth consistently within their world. And I feel like what I found with the people writing zany premises or like with that zany tone is sometimes it's really zany, sometimes it's really down to earth. So for example, like I think the best example is, oh god, they saw me like this. Like that's not someone who brings an omletron to a dark forest. That's someone who's thinking, who is thoughtful, who is conscientious. You know, so yeah, it's very much a good balance in fantasy fiction. I thought you'd love Timo if they are like the perfect set. I'm excited. I'm so pumped to read it. Well, I've already read a little bit and I've really enjoyed it, so I'm pumped to continue reading it. But yeah, I think this is another point where, if she's going to do zany stuff, it needs to be consistent and within the world, like Bill and Ted. She can't have lucid moments, etc. Yeah, but I'd also say those are hard to pull off. Cover your bases, dev edit, and line edits. Yes. Andrew Lamas, welcome.
Hello.
Welcome. Okay. She checks the map of the candlelight, catches fire as she frantically slaps it out. A white horse freaks out as Alona enters. She calms it with a handful of oats. Upon opening the gate, it runs away. She panics and runs after it.
Seems like everything she touches just goes to crap.
Yeah, Iona reaches a good distance from the castle before she stops.
Wait. So she run. Does she catch the horse? Or is she walking?
Yeah.
Sounds like she's just walking.
So yeah, so she's breaking stuff, and then she tries to light a lamp, and she breaks the lamp.
Yeah, it just seems like it's like Christmas Vacation on steroids.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're getting a lot
There
of...
should be reasons. Like, why? And why doesn't she give up? Like, why... Like, it just makes her seem, I hate, not to be whatever, it makes her seem dumb. That she's just, like, still pushing forward, even though, like, literally, she doesn't have, her map caught on fire, her horse ran away, her lamp went out, like, she can't do anything right. What's making her, like, I don't know enough about her motivation for why she wants to find this lab.
Yeah, that's right. I was writing that too. I was like, what is a significant, like, why can't she go find Dr. Chromius's lab or whatever his name is tomorrow?
Especially with all this stuff happening, it's like she must really, like, obviously, I don't know if it's just because she's supposed to be sort of a slapstick character or what, but it's like, I don't, it doesn't seem like something that she would want to keep doing after all of that. And we don't know why she wants to.
Yeah. Because, like, for example, she is very persistent, bullishly persistent here. But when her experiment failed, the omletron, she just kind of like shrugged it off and went back to her room. So like and that kind of, I think it comes back to like, it's a more difficult thing than I think writers expect to handle slapstick and to handle zaniness. And my encouragement, I would almost dial it back. Focus on telling me a story I care about and can relate to first. Like, you have more than enough irony with a princess who likes to do mech construction. I really don't think you need to fish for that much more, and especially these are cliched moments. The king with her talking about trying to do mech, that felt a little more real because that was more specific to her situation. Like, it could be a princess who likes, a princess who's clumsy. Like, whatever the princess's downside is, the white horse that she gives oats to all idyllically that runs away, that could happen to a clumsy princess. That could happen to a really dumb princess. That could happen to the smelly princess. Whatever the princess's foible is. So I want to have stuff that happens to a mecha princess. Like, I don't want stuff that could happen to clumsy princess or smelly princess or drunk princess. That's
she
Danielle.
might be all of that. Rude.
Drunk princess. Oh my God! The horse! Get back here, horse! Come back! Over here. So this stuff does not feel like This stuff does not feel like stuff that can only happen to Mecha Princess. You're
not using the fun. You're not giving us the fun of the world. When we read about a mech princess in the first couple pages, you want to see, okay, she's gonna have cool mech things that she does. But not only is this not mech, but it also is, we don't have the motivation either. So it's like,
but none of these attempts have failed because of her.
Yeah,
like she hasn't even tried a mecha thing. Like maybe she tries to like put her. Maybe that's that horseback riding example we gave earlier where she has some weird apparatus. And she tries to put it on the horse and it runs off and it's like, oh my God.
That's what I was waiting for because then it said she panics and runs after it. And so I was thinking, okay, now she's going to she needs to get the horse and maybe she'll do something to, but then it was just talking about, and I was like, wait, so she let the horse go? Then what was the point of even knowing that if she's not going to, if she's just reacting to all of this stuff?
Yeah, I agree. I think and I gave that Andy Weir example because in The Martian, one of the things that the writer of The Martian, Andy Weir, challenged himself with was to say, I'm not going to let a meteor come and hit Mark Watney. I'm not. The only obstacles that can come into his path have to be generated by his oversight or a miscalculation or a mistake that he made or something that he's not aware of. And he had to do kind of some meteoric things a few times. But one time he was soldering, he was soldering something, I forget. He was doing something and his tent blew out because he overloaded his energy thing and he hadn't calculated, there was more oxygen than I thought because when I was doing electrolysis, there was more waste oxygen produced and so it blew me up. And I can't do that again. That was him being that's why that story works. So I think that is literally the secret sauce to The Martian. Is there is no misfortune that doesn't come out of anything random. It's all him going for a goal, trying to fit as because he's a very smart character, so he's trying to solve as much as he possibly can But there's one detail that is an extremely irrational detail that slips his mind. It creates a failure, and then now he has a new problem. And that is a really, really elegant way to write.
Yeah, especially
conflict.
if you have a mecha princess, because then you have her trying to build things, and like
Yeah.
that's like built in like little things for her to overlook.
And The Martian might be a good book to reference. You know, I don't know if that's like, you know, that's obviously a different approach.
Yeah.
Here, you want to help me with this real quick? I don't know if I should even care about filtering it. I'm just going to have you hold this over the sink with the mic. I'm going to try not to pour it over here. Nah, I don't think it's going to work. I'm just going to spit it out. I'll just go with this. Alright, fill the rest up with whiskey. I can give you a little bit more. That is a little bit low. But I can top you off.
Okay. So it's the end of the top off.
Yeah, you need more. You need more. Or else you won't get the flavor.
Oh, really? Of the whiskey?
Yeah.
I've got a fair amount.
Okay. Then maybe I don't see.
Anyway, I get rich.
Actually, this won't work. This has a spout.
That should be good.
Pretty good.
Alright.
Stir it up.
My whiskey
Give it
cider.
another stir.
Whiskey. Creamy smooth Baileys.
Alright, I got a little extra in case you need it. Maybe I'll put a dash of whiskey in mine.
What?
Ooh, baby, that's good.
Is it?
Wow. That came out real nice.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's pretty good. Mine's pretty strong.
Oh, I just put too much whiskey in.
I think it works though. It's not too. It's actually perfect.
Alright, I got some more fruit here if you want to top it off. I got a whole other thing there.
Oh no, I'm good. One more.
Oh, you've been just nomming on those? That's awesome.
I have two. This is my third one.
How many do you want?
There's tastes like coffee.
Really? Oh, that's good.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, neighbor below.
Just keep pouring. It'll be fine. Yeah. I'm trying to get us drunk, Julian.
There's just when you pour and it goes this way, down the side of the thing, and then
Yeah.
I'm trying to pour it in this, and it just drips down.
Well, I think she was talking about keep pouring the whiskey in.
Oh.
You want to try mine? A little bit lighter
Yeah.
on the whiskey. Mine came out real. I think that came out really good.
Yeah, mine's real strong.
I can top it off with some fruit.
Try. You should try how strong it is.
Woo!
Girl, no, you should add more. I was like, really? Okay.
Maybe I'll water it down for you here.
Just pour more juice in it.
Here, I'm just gonna like mix it in with this and make it like this.
Well, I mean, I don't.
No, check it out. It's gonna be great. Trust me. Trust me. Done this a million
I don't want water in it
times.
though.
Huh?
I don't want water in it.
What do you mean water?
Oh, I thought you were gonna water it down.
Oh no.
Oh, okay.
That was just like it's a phrase used for.
Put a cup under the other stream. I know. That's the trick. That is the trick.
Alright, we did a thing. I think we're gonna have this be a little bit more balanced for you.
Better?
Much. Oh, that's much better.
Yeah, I was like, really? More? Really?
Sorry, I didn't see how much you put in.
It's all good.
I think you like poured it twice, and I saw you like second pour, and I thought that was your only one.
Oh.
Is that better?
Yeah.
All right, we did it.
Delightful.
Oh, man.
It's good stuff. You're a cider god. Alright, where were
God
we?
of cider. Never gonna sleep again with my coffee machine in my house. Oh my god, you're
That's
a
Jeff's
monster.
nightmare. That's Boss's nightmare.
Everybody reaches a good distance from the castle. Again, Flint Rock. This has nothing to do with Mecha.
Yeah.
This could be Stinky Princess. I'm gonna use that line.
Stinky... but I'm Stinky Princess.
No, you're Drunk Princess.
Only when you tell me to pour the whiskey. Keep going!
Did I show it to you? No, I haven't seen your coffee machine. Or did you see it in Literatius? No, I have not. I actually don't frequent Discord too much, so I probably should. You can post it in my final boss one. That's the one I have notifications on for.
She wanders through the forest.
The map is wrong.
This is my line.
Oh.
This map is wrong. It says the lab is behind a waterfall right here. Who's she talking to?
I don't know.
She hears a hoot behind her and whips around. It's an owl. What? Have you finally decided to help me?
Woo!
Is that a yes? No? No? Didn't you just fly off and my mother would follow you wherever she needed to go? You really aren't being much help here.
Hey!
That's me.
Raccoon pickpockets her.
Hey! You
Here's
bring
a-
that back.
Squirrel dangles it overhead. She climbs the tree, gets close. Swoop, owl snatches it. She leaps for it, but misses, hitting the ground hard. The animals all laugh.
Fine. I think this actually works because I think the trope that you used for her mom was that like she could call the creatures and they would all help her like clean.
Yeah.
This almost works a little better because it's like the animals a little bit where it's like all the animals basically like are like screw you, you're not a princess.
Yeah.
It's closer. Much closer.
Oh, what? You have
Dang.
a baller espresso machine with a milk foamer? Oh,
Very
I'm
nice.
jealous. I would kill a man for that.
That looks nice. Does it steam? Oh yeah, it steams milk too. Yeah.
No, I love the milk steamer. That's my... Oh my god, I can do that all day. Yes! So, where's mine? It's gonna kill me.
It's gonna kill. Yeah. No, Jeff would actually die.
Yeah, but I die happy.
Yeah. Insomnia.
Insomnia for the joy win.
Huh.
Alright.
Daughter of the sea.
The horse stands motionless for a beat. It's yanked in the bushes and we hear a loud chomping noise. Mortified, Iona darts into the woods. She hears a loud...
Wait, what white horse? There's a white horse?
Huh?
Where'd this horse come from?
I think it's that same horse that was there earlier. They came back.
Okay. It's yanked into the bushes and we hear a loud chomping noise. Huh. Mortified? Mortified means embarrassed.
No, mortified can be a fear of, like...
I always think of it as like...
Well, that's because of that show. But, like, mortified could be, like... It's paralyzed with some sort of, like, negative emotion, usually. So it can be, like, embarrassment, fear. Pretty sure. Let me see.
I could just be remembering that show.
So do the... Oh, that's true. Horrify. Appall.
But I think it's still technically horrified in like a... Yeah, I guess the word was, used to be for death and now it's more for embarrassment, it seems like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe that's word choice. I might scoot you over just a little bit so I can type easier. And I turned it so you'll still be in frame. Okay, right. Grabbing a vine, she swings over the blade. The vine snaps, dipping her into the fog. Splash, submerged, swimming for shore but not fast enough, falling 20 feet. Crawling ashore.
So what happened? So she left her alder brush.
She hears, I think, the wolf, I'm guessing, and she tries to bolt.
Falls 20 feet into a pond. How is the map still okay if she fell in the water?
Well, I mean, is it okay?
Pulling out the map and noticing the similarity between the waterfall and the target symbol.
But didn't she say that it was behind a waterfall? So, like, why did she doubt it earlier? Because up here she's like, the map is wrong. It says it's behind the waterfall. And it's like, it is behind the waterfall if you actually went to the behind the waterfall.
That's...
Page 9. The map actually seems right. It is behind the waterfall. Makes that previous bit feel off. Pulling out the key, turns the key. The secret lab of Dr. Crankshaft.
Darkness gives way as the doors open to reveal Irona's silhouette against the moonlit waterfall. She presses with caution. Click. The floor gives an inch. Is it like trapped? Just an arcane circle amid a yellow glow. Light spreads via zigzag pathways. Monarch-sized room. Chunk here and there. Something sprocket. An egg-shaped. That's the egg theme. Metal man slumped against the far wall, still towering 10 feet above, bearing a hammer and shield. I thought the omletron fell off her belt.
Did it?
It did.
Where?
Back when she was putting it on. We don't have any confirmation that she actually
puts
put
it back on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, with also, this makes it sound like the map catches fire. But I guess she slaps it out, so maybe that's okay.
Yeah, okay.
Just...
A lot of these gags, I think there's like 3 too many gags. I kind of just like, you know, I know this is like an arduous journey for her, but there are just a lot of gags. I kind of want to get to the content of the story. Don't thank you. I'm just going to do page 7 through 10. Distant roar. Okay, the keyhole. Here we go. Sprocket. Hello?
It's hello.
Its eyes illuminate with the same yellow glow. It speaks with an elderly British soldier's voice. Hello, Mike the Master's purple lizard fire. What?
Mike the Master's
Hello, Mike the Master's purple lizard fire, the rock tornado. Oh, bother.
You're alive? Dr. Crankshaft built a living metal person?
Crankshaft, yes, the person metal made me of. Speech confounding.
Hey, it's okay. Just take your time. The doctor obviously died before finishing you.
Sense, I suppose, makes it. No purpose at all. Farewell. It feels bad.
Wait. Maybe you could help me instead.
You?
There's something out there. It looks like you were built to fight.
Fight, yes, I suppose. I just can't seem to move.
I'll fix you. I'll need the proper tools, though. And... flashback. Huh?
Should they drop her wrench near the monster?
How's that a flashback? Oh, near the monster. Huh? Wait, does she...
So...
Does she see that? Is she, like, having a
I think the
vision?
monster's outside? I don't know. Let me see. The thing I can't fix, but then she doesn't have the proper tools.
Oh. Okay, so maybe she's just remembering that she doesn't have her wrench. Is that it?
Yeah, what's...
I guess I'm
yeah.
just confused.
A bit of a confusing...
I don't even think that needs to be a flashback.
Yeah.
That could just be like...
Just a cut to
scene.
outside.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cut.
Anyways, I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say that's page 10. That was a very, very good job. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's fun.
It was a lot of fun. And then I am going to pull up.
Let's do our final notes, huh?
Oh, that's right. I'm gonna pull up this other one first. Alright, so overall, the good. Love the ironic setup. The Mech princess is great. The value for irony and fun. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I thought that I like the fairy tale tropes. You know, the way you kind of subvert them. Just yeah, the like prince and the marriage and. But I also like the adventure for her to go on to get to this lab.
Yeah, I liked when she arrived and met, feels like the story picks up here. Improve, I'd say like dial down the, zany gags and focus in on her character and her story. Maybe don't even try to be funny. One draft and just tell a great dramatic story. Then go back and add funny bits.
Yeah. What else? Give us more. I really need motivation, like why she cares about this lab, because it's an interesting adventure, but I have no idea why she's going. Still.
Yeah. Like
what
is she trying to acquire from there? Yeah.
Yeah. I know she was reading that book early on about it, but I don't know what does she think is there. What does she? And it may want to learn or get or find or...
And that goes back to that early note about the riskiness of using a song, which is a little bit distracting to deliver exposition that is very important.
Yeah, because maybe it was in there, but I don't really remember, because it just is...
Yeah.
Songs in Lord of the Rings, I'm not going to lie, I skipped all the songs in Lord of the Rings. Some of them were like pages long. There's probably great exposition for the world in there, but songs, I'm always just like, okay, yeah, we get it. Get back to the action.
Yeah, I agree. I would say I like the songs, but I'd be kind of cautious of them. They might not be serving in the way that you want.
If you're going to have that as your exposition.
Make sure you take a few days, and just really do a character study. And ensure jokes and everything comes out of that organic character. I don't want a joke that could apply to Stinky Princess. Stinky Princess.
And Drunk Princess.
Or Drunk Princess. And Drunk Princess. She's both princesses.
Yeah.
Alright, well, overall, great work.
Yeah, no, I think it was super fun.
It's a really fun premise. And we're going to go check out this... Ooh, nope, that's the wrong one.
Chaos.
It feels bad. Hold on.
Chows.
Microsoft Word. Edit. There we go. We found it. I'm going to do a little comment to test. Alright, so I need to slide that over like this. Blink. And we're ready to go. Cyber Sword, hey, how's it going?
Hello.
Is this Cyber Jackalope? Or is this another cyber implement? We just finished your story. It was awesome. And now
it's
we're
Cyber
on.
Jackalope.
If it is Cyber Jackalope. If it's not, welcome Cyber Sword. Hopefully you are well. Alright, so now we're going to dive into B1dnas' story. Lily! The teacher shouted. I jolted from my... So, because this is single space, I might give it a double space just to make it a little easier on the old eyeballs. Double.
It's his Cyber Sword.
The leader of the...
Free World?
Cyber's Legion. Nice. Welcome, Cyber Sword. We are just embarking on a fresh edit. This is a prose edit. We just wrapped up a screenplay edit, so get excited. We're going to talk a little bit more about the style and form of writing prose and some of the pros and cons.
See what he did there?
Yeah. Lily, the teacher, shouted. I jolted from my daydream to find myself once again in the world of history class with Mrs. Anderson standing over my desk like a vulture.
Bye, Italian.
Bye-bye. Get some rest and don't drink
get
any
some
more
rest,
of that
no more
coffee. I heard several snickers from my classmates as I sat up and tried to clear the drowsiness from my head.
So, Lily, since you seem to think that my class is easy enough to sleep through, why were the ancient Mesopotamians able to survive as long as they did?
Miss Anderson took in my open mouth and making an expression with the shape of her head. So again, this is a great thing that often happens in prose where we get over-telling. This, I'm going to put on suggesting. This is stuff that's already implied from the context. Remember, your reader is doing a lot of your work, and the goal of a prose writer is to only dive into the details that will help the reader just guide the reader's own imagination. So you're trying to just give them enough waypoints that the reader's imagination can do most of the work. So this is enough of a waypoint where I can assume that there is going to be a blank expression. I can assume that Miss Anderson is going to be pissed that he actually wasn't listening. Or she wasn't listening. So, beware over-telling. We get the context just from your statement. And that's called, the official term, I guess, or at least how Borges would say it, is verbal doubling.
Or show, don't tell.
True. Yeah. Slash show, don't tell. But yeah. This is review week, people, so you will not sleep in my class until you can recite the textbook from memory, front to back, cover. It's aggressive.
Yeah.
She shouted. So then, this is a good job. You're showing me that this character is not reasonable. All right, it's very intense. This is a good showing of the fact that Miss A isn't reasonable. She shouted as she walked back to the desk. I zoned out in class and she decided to call on some unfortunate soul. Miss Anderson was literally the only teacher to do anything relevant the day before spring break. I had to just survive her class. We already know her class. I had to just survive. Then it was smooth sailing through lunch and my other 3 hours. This is classes. And so the thing to think about is, even in interiority, you want to be concrete. This is the very beginning of the story, and these are very, abstract, oh, my next 3 classes. That's abstract. Even though to the writer it might feel like it's concrete, but it's not. So, it would be a more concrete way to say this would be, sailing through lunch, then it was smooth sailing through lunch. And then I just had to smile, my way through woodshop, PE, and, art. Yeah, whatever. So that gives you just a little bit more concrete stuff. And your goal is to take all these details that you're putting in as a writer and to drive them to a concrete place, make them more solid in that way. More experience driven, something I can have a tighter relation to. Is it a 10-page edit or a nano or just any manuscript? I'm just curious. It's any manuscript. So our free edits that we do from time to time, sometimes seldom. These people submit. I can put up a little edit thing. People can shoot us an email with one of their stories to finalbossediting@gmail, and we will read through it and give our notes and feedback and kind of help try to guide some writers. So if you have anything you'd like to share, feel free. We have kind of a long queue that I've been a bit slow in getting through, but tonight is my attempt to actually get some ground covered.
Yes. We do eventually get there. We do.
Read chapters 14 and 16 and for homework over the break. Yeah, like
so
that's
good.
going to happen.
This is going down like juice.
Like juice.
It's a good thing it's not quite as strong. I'd be like,
As your other one, you'd be dead. Yeah, well, yeah, that's the point. That's why you drink cider.
It's true.
Yeah, like that's going to happen. I quickly stopped by my locker on the way to the cafeteria to grab my lunchbox. I slammed my locker shut and waited for the door. Vying to get there before thousands of other teens did. I managed to extract myself from the massive people. So we're only getting. So this is a tough. This is a very good example of show don't tell. Because we're getting the action filtered through thought. It's almost, you never want to do that. You can have thoughts, you can describe thoughts, you can show us thoughts. Like, I think Cynthia is mean and I don't like her, or whatever it is. But whenever we start to compress whatever's happening and then describing it through the thoughts, that tends to slow things down. So it's like, I shoved through people. You know, Joe bumped against my shoulder, knocking me back as I fought through the crowd. That's much more in scene. So, you know, if you're going to describe a scene, just describe the play-by-play of action. Don't filter it through told thought, if possible. But yeah, so it's like, you know, one of the bullies bumped against my shoulder. He glowered at me, and he said, "Watch it, Lily." And, you know, so like that is much more concrete in the scene versus...
Or Cynthia.
Or
Out of my way, freak.
Yeah, yeah, so whatever. I smiled as I saw my friend Mary already there, eating lunch that she brought from home, like me. So we're still very... So the narrative camera is very, very pulled back. And it's all happening through her thoughts. Because Mary probably reacted when she smiled. So there was some sort of exchange that happened here that's not getting described. There was probably some exchange that happened here that could show me all this. Like, you don't have too many friends. So, you know, Mary was sitting alone eating a dry ham sandwich. She waved desperately at me, pointing to the entire empty table around her. You know, so that's like a
Reminds
really...
me of high school.
Yeah. Watch it, nerd, John the school bully said as he shoved me by his way in this crowded lunchroom. Yeah, that's a great example. So that's... So a few things I would think about even then is John the school bully. So in some sense, the fact that he's bumping into you and saying what... So the goal of writing, and one of the really times you see effective writing, is if it's very concrete, very descriptive, but also very concise. So you don't need to say that many words, but you're able to get to this very detailed visual expression quickly. So one of the ways you might be able to economize that phrase even more is to remove the school bully. Watch it, nerd. John shoved past me on his way to the crowded lunchroom. And we can imply that he's a bully. We can imply that, you know, he said that, because you can even take out the said. You don't necessarily have to have dialogue tags all the time. So there's a lot of really simple tricks, I think, that as you write and as you start to represent some of these things, you can really compress your prose while still having it be really visual and experiential. Hey, Mary, I sat down across from her. Hi, Lily, how's it going? How much fun did you have in Miss Anderson's class? Horrible. She caught me sleeping. Okay, so another risk is recapping. You know, we just experienced this. A lot of books will have a line of summary where I told her what happened. Miss A's class. So that's an example, but I also think that I would be looking for what's the conflict or what's the challenge.
Yeah, she seems. I want to hear that like
So, yeah.
either one of them has conflict. Because Mary's just like, hi, how's everything?
You know,
Which is just there's nothing wrong with it. It's like realistic, but it's boring to read.
so, or they can, even if they're allies and there's not direct conflict between them, you know, she could sit down and she could say, how far are you along on our plan? And then she'll be like, what plan? And then you know, she can say, or not even what plan, but she'll be like, oh, I tried to talk to Joey this afternoon to see if we could get more people. And then we'll start leaning forward and be like, more people for, you know, so then that'll get the reader to start asking questions. So you can either bring in conflict between these two characters, which will make it more interesting, or start unfolding the mystery of the story, which is like, hey, are you ready for our plan? I have 3 more classes left. And then she'll say, oh yeah, I still need to try to convince John. Maybe you can help me. And he's like, oh my god, but he's the popular kid. Are you sure we should do that right now in front of the whole lunch crowd? And she says, watch me. And then she stands up, and then, you know, the main character is like, oh, okay. And she tries to get up beside her, and then we're like, okay, well, what's going to happen? They're about to confront the popular kid. So, like, you have to start, like, even if they're allies, once you get into a scene where dialogue is happening, you have to start driving towards some sort of scene conflict where something is, you know, even if it's not between these two characters directly, something is going to happen in the scene, and it's going to develop into something. Mary can be such a nerd. Sometimes she had a GPA, but Mary wasn't a nerd. She also co-captained the cheerleading squad. She was all around gorgeous with butts. Why is she sitting alone?
Athletic, nerdy, and beautiful, triple threat.
I
would just be careful. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of... I don't really, as a reader, we don't care as much about what she looks like.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think I see that a lot in like YA fiction where it's all about like, oh, so-and-so so beautiful. I'm just a boring junior with brown hair and brown eyes. I don't really know how I don't know how to describe it. It's like, that makes me dislike the character from the start. Not because they're a boring junior with brown hair and brown eyes, but because it seems like it's just not something I want to focus on. Like Jeff was saying, I'd rather just jump into the story instead of getting the characters' insight into how boring they are, into how boring they themselves are compared to the people around them. And I get it's tough with like high school fiction, and it's really easy to like, because that is some stuff that goes through your brain as a high schooler, and I don't know how the author is, but maybe they're there. But I would just caution against it because it's very overused. And it's not like a strong way to build a character that I want to hang out with and like relate to.
And food for thought is you can still communicate her looks, but you should generally consider it during the action. So let's go to our example where these 2 girls are about to confront the big jock. Maybe you can say, oh, like they all start watching Cynthia, but like the jock is looking at me. He's not looking at Cynthia, you know, her friend. What's her friend? Mary. He's not looking at Mary. He's looking at me. Why is he looking at me? Is it my face? I mean, my face is pretty plain. So, like, you can bring it into the scene, make it more action. But again, like, you'll see is some...
The stereotypical thing that I see, and you're not doing that here, luckily, is, like, when the protagonist... And this does not happen in real life, but in, like, all stories, the protagonist female will look in the mirror at herself while she's, like getting dressed and be like, oh, look at me, I'm just so plain, my hips are too wide and my waist is too narrow and I'm just short, I'm too short, or I'm too tall, or no girl does that. Not really. Like, you just kind of, you're like, it's imperfect, whatever, but focusing too much focusing too much on like I like there's not like you said, there's nothing wrong with like mentioning features. But when you make it about, like, comparison and when the character's calling themselves boring, I don't know. I'd just rather see it in action.
Yeah, and food for thought is... And there's different extremes, right? So a lot of very modern, more experimental style fiction will actually have no description of the point of view character if they don't deem it necessary. And that's a... thing that I struggle with because I read more pop fiction and I still kind of like to have an image in my head of what the character looks like. So it's about finding a way. So it depends on where you fall on that spectrum, because it is absolutely okay to have absolutely zero description of the character as long as the story is driving and it's moving forward. Sometimes you just don't need it.
But I think this paragraph in
yeah.
particular is literally just exposition about what the two
Yeah.
characters look like, and it doesn't affect the story at all. I think that's why I don't like that paragraph. I think it's okay. Like that whole paragraph is just describing Mary, why she's perfect, and why the main character is boring and plain, and that doesn't really push anything forward in the story. So I agree with Jeff
Yeah.
when he says, like, yeah, bring that in. If you do want to, like, convey that she's, you know, a little bit secretly jealous of Mary, you know, Mary seems like this perfect whatever, and, you know, super smart, whatever. I think that can come out over time. You don't need to, like, sit it into a paragraph and, like, spell it out for us.
And the only time I think that maybe you would keep something like this is if that's maybe part of your theme, where you say, oh wow, this character is going in, comparing herself to everyone, and coming in on the bottom, where she doesn't really understand what real beauty or real,
That's
you know,
true.
human, like, you know, what real depth, you know, what that really means. And that's part of her learning to stop doing this, or to stop doing this comparative act. That could be something that's core to your theme. But I think the point still stands that you might still be able to accomplish that while driving the action. That's one of the really helpful things to keep in mind as you're going into revisions and you're recreating these scenes and you're rewriting them over and over again to try to tighten them up, is to say, okay, I have this thematic. Maybe we'll say, hey, maybe I have this thing where maybe she's going to learn that this is not how she wants to see the world, but could I also establish this while something is happening on the plot level? Because what's happening here is we're having kind of a back and forth conversation. I had my whole lunch. Do you have any homework? There's not much going forward. And this is a very common thing that actually happens in screenplays a lot, where they're like, how are you? I am fine. How's it going? Super good. So there's not much that's going to surprise us, because it's like every conversation we have. So remember, a story conversation is different from a real life conversation.
Yes. I think that's something I did a lot when I was younger. I think it's good practice to be able to write a normal conversation. It's like a good way to learn how to write, to just be like, I can make a conversation that sounds normal. But when it actually comes to stories, there has to be less of the, oh, how are things? Yeah, things are good. Any homework? Oh, yeah, a little bit. How about you? Oh, yeah, I have something. It's like, it's good to know how to write that and make it believable. That's like great practice. But eventually you have to be able to, like, put that aside and be like, and get to the story.
Yeah.
But that's how I see it.
I agree. Well, the way to describe the character is as the MC is walking away from high school, is pulling with her prom king and queen. He describes the way he thinks his GF is the perfect favorite queen, and why he should be king, but he wasn't the best choice. I try not to make it seem forced. That's true. Yeah, it depends on the scene, and obviously feel free to share, shoot us an email. We'll be happy to put it into the editing queue. But yeah, stuff like that can definitely work, like in terms of comparing during a competition. But I almost invariably, and this is something I'm going to guess, but what I often see with writers who are just kind of getting their sense of, hey, how do I want to make this scene operate? How do I want to develop things? You usually want to really visualize the action. Get something happening on the page. Like, make something go wrong in the polling booth. Maybe he catches someone trying to cheat on the polls, and he's going in there trying to solve that problem. So, like, the more we can get to problem or goal obstacle, the better. So if you watch Stranger Things, this is a really great example, and I haven't used it since last Halloween. But watch Stranger Things, and you will notice that every single scene, a character is trying to accomplish, they want, and they're trying to get something, and someone says, no, you can't have that. Nope, and then they have to argue, and the whole rest of the scene is them resolving who's going to get their way. So, and it's going to be very dynamic, and it's going to be two people going head to head. So those are some really good things to think about.
And some of that will involve, like, internal thought. Like,
Yeah.
if they were to write those, if those scenes were in books, there would be some, you know, like, Oh, well, I really think that, there'd be some lines about what the characters think, but, like, it's more focused on the action of the scene versus, like, because you were saying, like, why he thinks his girlfriend is the perfect fit for Queen. But what I think is more to put that in the context of conflict where maybe someone else thinks that she isn't, and maybe he's arguing with them instead of just kind of thinking about it in a bubble,
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Because it'll still be there in the writing, but it'll be within the context of conflict, which makes it more interesting. Conflict and, like, the goal, or, whatever, yeah.
So again, I'm reading this a little bit more. I kind of read a little bit ahead. So I'm reading a little bit into, like, there's boys looking at them, checking them out. And this is a risk. So these characters are becoming very passive because they're not striving for a goal. So they're observing the world around them, saying, "Oh, those boys are looking at us. This is happening." But I think you will be really well served to say, let's just assume that Lily wants something, and you can make it whatever. She wants to be prom queen. She wants to win the election. She wants to, make $100. Thank you for the sub, Cyber Sword. Much obliged and
mini
welcome.
boss.
You are now a mini boss. Indeed, you are welcome. Indeed.
I drink all my juice.
I think that's mine.
Yeah. There's more too, right?
A little bit. I think I spilled a little bit. I failed.
How? We're done. We're done.
I know. That's bad.
I'm out of here.
Well, thank you for the sub, and thank you for joining us. Glad to have you. So in this case, I think one of the risks is we're having a passive character here. Passive character moment. Boys looking at them and them discussing.
And it's
The
so
people-
common. That's
Yeah.
the thing. I'm guilty of this too when I was
People in the
younger
same
and
here.
probably still today. It's so easy. You're not alone.
And that's the problem. I mean, the risky thing is your protagonist should be the most active character in the story. They should be the one hunting after things. And in this particular moment, the most active character in the story right now are the boys. Because they're the ones that have a goal, they want something, and the girls are actually the ones who are kind of becoming the obstacle for them, and oh, no, I don't know about this. Which is okay, and that can happen sometimes, but we haven't had an active moment yet for our protagonist, and that's one thing I would really, really encourage you to think about. Where do I put my priority?
Email
so you
it.
got it. So once you email me, it'll go right to the top of the list, and you will have a priority edit. For later, obviously, not right now. Yes, indeed. We do edits maybe like once every 2-3 weeks. So then, yes, in 2 or 3 weeks, you'll probably be there. I don't have any other priority edits right now. We just did Cyber Jackalopes, who was our last priority. So this was the regular queue. This is in our general queue. The active characters right now are boys. I want to see Lily. Yeah, and this is a very reactive story, right, so far. Because she was, the teacher had a goal, and she said, you're going to pay attention in class. And she's like, okay, maybe I'll pay attention. And then her friend even had a goal and said, hey, come sit with me, I'm sitting by myself. And she goes and sits with her friend. And then now these guys have a goal who's saying, I'm looking at her friend, and she's sitting back. So a lot of these other characters in the story have these goals, but we just need her to, or, to be... as frank sometimes, the jock characters might be the most compelling goal right now. Because they're trying to get a girl, and then the girls are back there. So that's interesting. Are they going to get the girl or not? That brings up a question. That brings up a dramatic question. Is it going to work or not? But right now, her story alone is not delivering in terms of her goal. We need her to have a goal. We need her to have driving action. She needs to be pursuing it, fighting for it.
It's true. We don't know what she wants at all right now.
Yeah.
In general.
My dad was just
Besides
like,
to get through class.
But as soon as my mom found out she was pregnant, my dad just left. God, it's pretty like my mom with me. So this seems like a funny time for Seems like a funny guy.
Well, she says they reminded me of my father.
Might
So
tell
then she
me,
talks about.
Still, it's a lot of backstory.
Yeah.
I wouldn't into the full backstory here, perhaps, since we are in the middle of a tense scene with these boys about to pursue the girls. Perhaps just give us a one-liner, you know. So this could probably all get caught.
No, just leave it. It disappeared into
left.
the night. Like,
It left us.
or you could just cut it like to there. Just have a quick paragraph to Saber's dirty dishes still sitting in the sink, and then move back,
Yes, so I signed and turned my check.
and then do the mom stuff later. Because it sounds like she's got issues with her mom too.
So you think it's done here?
I would cut all that. Yeah. If she, just.
I don't think we need all the detailing even.
Yeah.
Just gone. I don't think we even need to disappear in the night. That's a verbal doubling.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So then that's a simpler way. That was like very good with ladies and laugh, and that was as smooth as silk. But as soon as my mom found out she was pregnant, my dad left. Just gone. I decided to turn my attention to Matt and Chase.
Better.
You know,
So much better.
boom, we're right
So
back into the
much
action. I
better.
decided to turn my attention to Mac and Chase. They're both, and that's the beauty of writing is
You can just delete it. It's easy
you just
to fix.
delete some stuff and your
Easy to
story
fix.
gets better. Writing is all about what you cut. Writing is all about what you cut.
It's like
And
sculpting,
it makes your
sculpting.
story so much better, and it's the best feeling in the world. Should I share with you or email it? Feel free to email it to there you go. Whoops. To just that Final Boss Editing Gmail there. And feel free to go ahead and email. So I didn't turn my attention to Matt and Chase. They're both elitist jocks who thought they ran the school. A lot of people worshipped their feet, but others, like Mary and I, ignored them. Again, these are a bit cliched lines. This is a lot of telling. Can we see someone fawning over them? And maybe Lily gets pissed and decides to show that fawning
It's the W.
jerk, yeah, whatever, what's up. So maybe like, you know, and then Lily stands up and says, why do you even like this guy? He's a good for nothing. And then, boom, conflict. So like, that is action, because Lily says, hey, that's not fair. Everyone's respecting and revering these people when they're really just dirtbags and they're scummy and they're just like my dad. I'm going to go tell them off. Boom, we have a goal. I need Lily to start taking action.
Yeah.
And then after a while, our meal was very rudely interrupted by Matt and Chase,
Again,
who
taking
crashed
action.
down. So then they're the ones taking the action. Yeah. Again, the other characters are taking action. Imagine how much more dynamic this would feel if we just turned it and had Lily get up to confront them rather than this way. And it's simple, and that's the beauty of writing, is some of these little simple changes. Well, thank you for the share, and I'm super excited to read your work, and I will mark it as a priority edit, because you did very kindly subscribe. But yes, remember, you gotta turn these little moments around, and you'll have a lot of success. I think it's those little tweaks where saying, hey, I want this same scene, I want her to confront the guys, but I want it to be from the core. Like, you know, I want it to be emerging from this character. So that's very easy to do, very possible. Just need a little bit of a tweak there. I had so many offers, but you two are especially important. Matt said, "Study with me."
Yeah, she finally does something.
Keeled over aggressive smell. This is what I mean. Okay.
Where's my curiosity in this is because she just was talking about how she's a boring brown-haired, brown-eyed junior. Why
Why do they
why
like
does
her
she
then?
think that they like her? Yeah.
Does she actually believe
What's
that they
her
like her, or does
response?
she think that they're faking?
Exactly. What's her response to that? Is she mad because she thinks that they really just like Mary? That would also at least add some interestingness. But if she's so convinced that she's just this plain boring junior, which of course we all feel like when we're juniors, then is that why she's mad? Is that
Hey, we're back. Sorry, it glitched out. My Comcast sucks. So they're evil and they're bad, and I hate them.
I think she just going back to this point, she can also, whoever wrote this can also use this to showcase like what's important to her, like her values. Like maybe because if she is just somebody who wants to be popular, she would not care who likes her and she'd just be happy that somebody likes her if she thinks she's plain. But if she's plain but she has good values, maybe she's like, oh, but I don't want these guys because they're clearly, yeah. She kind of said, I don't know. Yeah, it just needs a little bit more insight into...
Yeah, and I would say one of the things that writers do a lot is writing off the page. So saying, hey, I'm going to take 10 minutes or an hour even and just brainstorm. And I think the prompt that you should explore is, what is the thing this character most wants in the world? And what are they willing to do to get it? And then write your story about that, about her trying to get whatever she wants most in the world. I think that would be a really great place to start. Yeah. She want to be popular. I'm not really sure because she's.
I don't know.
Yeah, because she sometimes seems to be describing the popular, like she's describing popularity in a negative light. But we also know that people do that when they're being sarcastic and they really want
Mary,
it. Yeah.
Like as if she wants to be a little more like Mary, but I can't.
Yeah.
Mary seems popular, but...
Yes, we're back.
Yay.
Sorry, our Comcast murdered us. I want to knock him out, lock him in jail, and throw away the key. Hate his guts with a fiery passion, Mary grumbled. I feel the same way.
Look, I would do dialogue past too. Like some of the dialogue from them is a little... If you foolishly decide to not go with us, we will make your remaining time here at Central High a living hell. I don't know if any guy would ever actually say that line. Again, you know, there's a little bit of leeway, but...
Yeah, is this how a high schooler would talk? And, you know, Mary's plain. Does she believe that, you know, at least self-described as plain? Does she believe...
Lily?
Lily, yeah. Does Lily... leave the popular guys want to go out with the... I guess I wrote that up there, but that's a really important point, so I'm writing it twice. Mary said not legally. It would constitute a threat, but Matt being a star quarterback, and all would just slap him on the wrist. All right, so this is a conflict, but the problem is that it's coming from not the main character, so it's a very passive thing. So sometimes this can work. You know, like you can see mystery stories where the detective is brought in to, you know, go look at the crime, and that's very common. But then you really got to amp up the goal here. So if you're going to keep this and say, I'm going to have them be passive until they get the call to action, which is the boys challenging them, I want to see them come over the top hard and say, we're going to take these mother lovers down. We're going to take them down. Like, so that's what I'm looking for, and I'm going to kind of give it another page, and I'm going to go fast because it's getting late. I mean, come on, we've been through these things together, we can survive being the wrath. One thing I'll never be able to deny, together. See you, we both parted ways. So back to Mr. Anderson. And then a party. So yeah, we're kind of shifting focus again. So we're shifting focus. She just got challenged to have to go on she might be formulating a plan to get back at these girls, at these guys. And then another prompt. Write what her plan is for this story. What's your hero planning to do? That's a great story prompt, by the way. What's the plan? What is she planning? Ask yourself that.
Or he.
Or he. But in this case, it's Lily, so
Or
it's a girl.
Z.
Or Z. Or Zay. But that's a wonderful line. Alas, if thine choice... Alas, if thine choice is against the alignment of my wants and desires, life shall be forever the torment from the
Yeah.
pit.
That's how I say things.
Very Shakespearean and well read.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe this is like one of those like special schools for like the really smart kids. You know,
Could be.
this is a what are those called? The Sylvan Learning Centers? No,
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Those are actually for people who don't do well in school, though.
Or for people who want to do even better.
It's true. Well, it's called gifted and talented education.
Yeah.
Or GATE.
I'm not
what
gonna have to worry
I
about
was
that.
in.
Yeah. Yeah. Whatever. Keep telling yourself that,
For
Danielle.
3 years.
That's what they told you.
4th, 5th, and 6th grade.
But I think that you have. So first off, I think you're doing really, really well, writer. And I'm gonna go just to the bottom of this page, and then we're gonna let you go because it's prose. Even though we normally do 10 screenplay pages, prose is usually a lot longer, a lot more words. So you're actually probably getting more edits than even Cyber Jackalope did. I mean, why not? I could always leave if I didn't want. Okay, so she's going to the party. Grandfather and I have chess club that night, but I'm sure I could leave. It's the night after prom. Okay, now wants to get together. Okay, so a lot of discussion. So, okay. A little too much discussion here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down and I'm going to write in my notes. So overall, good. You write prose well. I could well visualize the action movement of the plot. I liked Lily and her spunky attitude made her a fun read. I think, you want to give Lily a goal. Have her driving to accomplish a step in her plan every moment of every scene.
And especially since there's so many little things going on, there would be one goal
Yeah.
and then a mini goal within each scene, within each conversation, I would say,
Yeah.
right?
Yep, that's absolutely right. I think, what else? What are the other big themes? Take a look at your dialogue. Try to cut out the hi, how are yous. Just cut to the conflict or the first step toward a goal. Finally,
Babe Nash, y'all.
Babe Nash. Babe Nash, y'all. I build up castles, I tear down mountains, I make some men blind, I help others see. What am I? Faith? Incorrect, but too abstract. Too abstract. It's a concrete thing. It's a concrete thing. Ensure that for the beginning of the novel, Lily is driving 90% of the action. Make her do something in class that gets her in trouble. Though you might be able to cut that scene altogether, since the two guys glaring is really where the story seems to start. But have her stomp over and confront the boys. Then they spring on her that they want her to go to prom, and she feels more embarrassed and does X, whatever. Anyways, that's a basic example, but I am going to let you all go to bed because it is late. But it was really fun hanging out. It's been good. It's been fun. But I have to do some of my own work tonight and call it a day. But anyways, y'all, thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you so much, Cybersword, for sharing your work and the priority and the if I can speak English, the subscription. And we will see you soon for priority edit.
You know, what is it? Oh, they want to know the answer to the riddle.
Oh, wait, what's the answer to the riddle? It is sand. Because you can build sand castles. Sand wears away mountains. It can get in your eyes and blind you, but it can be turned to glass and make glasses and help you see. Boom!
Wow.
I did a thing. Anyways, y'all, take care. Have a wonderful evening, and we will hopefully see you again very, very soon.